Hey everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. This is Way 3 News meteorologist Brian Good. We're going to talk about our storm chances this week. We'll talk about the heat and the possible change we could see for the middle part of the month. It's still a maybe. I'll give you a sneak peek on that in a second. First off, the severe risk for today, we're just in the general thunderstorm category. Nothing severe really expected. In fact, very weak winds right now over the Ohio Valley. So anything that does develop is likely going to rain itself out, but it could also stick over your backyard for a good duration of its lifespan. So if you get a downpour over your area, you'll likely be the only one in the neighborhood that would benefit from it. But it could put down some decent totals in some isolated cases, but again, isolated being the key word on anything that develops this afternoon. All right, for tomorrow, still in the general thunderstorm category, and then as we into Wednesday, still in the general thunderstorm category. Again, because of the lack of the wind, we don't have a lot of wind fields to work with here to really get widespread issues when it comes to severe weather, which is good, but it does mean slow moving rainfall events for anything that can get going. Because of the light winds as well, we have another problem that can develop when it's not raining, and that is the air quality. So we already have an air quality alert for, I believe, the fourth time this summer now for Louisville Metro. And again, Louisville Metro it does include a couple of counties in Indiana and then south and north of Louisville itself, because of the way the air can be trapped, not just within Jefferson County. It can expand a little more than that, and that's why it covers a few extra counties. But it's code orange. You have asthma, emphysema, COPD. Stay close to AC as we head into Tuesday. All right, so here's the setup this afternoon. You see the cumulus clouds rapidly bubbling up here across Indiana. Not much, though, south of Louisville, because the moisture fields are actually a little deeper to our north and west right now, and this is a typical mountain lift that's happening in East Kentucky. But this is the area where better and deeper moisture is taking place, slightly better instability as well, to allow for these pop-ups to develop. But notice how they just don't last very long at all if they can get going. And we're seeing much more of a capping going on across central Kentucky, and that's why there's not many on the cumulus clouds either developing over the area. So overall, fairly quiet. Best chance for anything to pop up, though, today. It looks to be higher over Indiana than it does over Kentucky. So here's a wider view of the setup. It's an area of high pressure that is right now centered just to our east. This high is going to back up a little bit for the next couple of days. Now, that's important because as it gets to our either on us or just to our west, by Wednesday, we may find ourselves in a north flow that could provide a few thunderstorms that may try to sneak in on the I-71 corridor down to Lexington. It's hard-pressed to tell yet how that would impact us, but it is something that we'll be watching for thunderstorm chances for the middle of the week. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, with the high pressure the way it's centered, it's trapping all the remnants here of Erica and deep tropical moisture right into the Carolinas. I mean, Charleston, South Carolina just had historic flooding this morning. It was raining at 6 inches per hour. 6 inches per hour rainfall rates. I mean, we panic when we see 2-inch rainfall an hour rates here in Louisville. But 6 inches, I mean, it's deep tropical moisture, and again, causing flooding concerns. And that's going to be a problem the next couple of days because, again, the lack of wind. Nothing is moving anywhere. So it's the same old story each and every day. Let's get you through this afternoon, though. You see where the short-range models, again, are picking up a few little blips. So far, as you saw, not much happening, but these blips will last until sunset, and then they will begin to fade off the radar altogether. So let's get you into Tuesday afternoon. Another chance for a few thunderstorms to develop. Again, the deeper moisture pocket will be a little more over the river this time for Tuesday, but still, I'd say 10 to maybe 20%. That's about it. 20% may be too generous for a storm chance, but nothing very impressive at all. Otherwise, as we head into Wednesday, this is when the high will get centered a little more to our west, and that's when we've got to watch this area for development for the afternoon. And the RPM model here that you're looking at is hinting at something may form and become a small MCS, which is a complex of storms that may develop a little Boeing segment that'll push right into it. It'll be attracted to the heat and the higher moisture to the south of where it goes. It may not last very long, but it may impact this area for Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. It's not just RPM either that is showing that. The NAM is also, the high-res NAM is showing the center of the high backing up and allowing for that north flow. Again, you look at the arrows flowing here on the northeast side of that high right across Cincinnati's area, and it is picking up on a Boeing segment that does pop up Wednesday afternoon that tries to dive in into the south and southwest into Kentucky. We saw this several times this summer. In a few cases, especially during the Forecastle event, and we had one that came through that did cause some wind damage. It really just depends, though, and if it can get going, and then the question is how long will it last, because, again, the air is not going to be as prime for it in Kentucky as it will be around Cincinnati. So once it crosses into Kentucky, it's got limited time to do anything. But and it may miss us altogether. It may just be Lexington's issue and not really our issue. But we will watch it, and just letting you know that it's all about the center of that high and where it ends up stopping, because that'll determine the flow. And you can see that here in the Canadian model too, brought to you by our friends over at Weatherbell. If you look at the arrows, see how they flow right into the Cincinnati area and then into Lexington. That is that center right here of the high, and that's where these thunderstorms that can get going, they will feed and flow in that north flow. But it's not a very strong flow, and that's the reason why it's so hard to pick out where it would go and if it really would even happen at all. But either way, that'll be something we'll be watching. And if it doesn't rain, we got to watch for these high temperatures, because this is hard to read map. I know, I apologize. But here's Louisville, by the way. This is the whole state of Kentucky right here. Where you're seeing brown, that's where in the last week the ground has been drying out substantially. And we're seeing that more so in Missouri and the Ozarks here in Arkansas. But we are seeing some drying that has been taking place here in wave country. And the longer we go in that pattern without decent widespread rainfall, the hotter the temperature can go later this week. And with the light winds around, we could easily, now the hottest so far this summer is 95. We could get very close to that by the end of this week. I don't know if we'll hit 95, but we may get awful close. So this is going to be a decent heat wave, if you will, that's going to build in here as the week goes on. But it really will depend on any relief we can get from these little MCSs that may form that may block that somewhat. But that's still, again, a big if. Down the road, well, as we into Labor Day weekend, the area of high pressure is going to get a little more stretched out. I think it's going to be warm this weekend and hot. Thunderstorm chances will be mainly east, because we're going to show some weakness. It's going to be developing on the eastern side of this high. The strongest part of the high is going to be on the western side of it. And then we get into mid-September. Now, this model is only able to go out to the 10th. But this is going to be the one front right here that is going to move in around the 15th and 16th. And even the Canadian ensembles are hinting at that as well. That could give us a stretch of 70s for highs. I was joking on my Facebook page. I was bringing the rain-snow line down to northern Illinois. Yes, that is the typical rain-snow line, the 540 thickness line, but that mainly applies to the winter time. This time of year, the boundary layer temps are way too warm for that rule to really hold true. But either way, it's interesting to see that, because it gives an idea. It's telling us this is a very cold aloft system that is moving into the northern part of the country in the northeast, perhaps by mid-September. And the question is, how deep will it get, and how long will it last, or will it get just a wave and then it's out of here and then we warm back up again? All that's still on the table, and we will try to fine-tune that in the next week or so, and hopefully give you a better idea for those of you looking for some nice cooling weather coming in. But at least there is a sign of something, a change in the air, if you will, coming our way by mid-September. We'll see if it gets support or not as we get closer. Between now and then, though, it's going to be just the heat and these downpours, and we got to watch the MCS potential in the northeast side of Louisville. That's going to be our main headline all the way through Labor Day. All right, guys, have a good day. I hope that your Mondays go well for you. We'll see you today beginning at 5.